What's up everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. In the last episode we did our full investigation for this class trial about the mystery corpse and the mystery culprit. And in this episode we're going to go ahead and get started with the class trial and see where this leads us to. I'm excited. So let's without further ado, let's do it. Whoa, Byakuya and Makoto showed up together. Where the heck have you two been? You just disappeared without a word. We were investigating, of course. How could you not figure that out by this point? Makoto's ranked high enough for you guys to go off together, just the two of you.
Huh?
What? Are you jealous?
Hey!
Or are you making up some kind of creepy fantasy for yourself?
What?
Stop talking and brace yourself. He'll be here any second. Any second. He could show up at any time. When I imagined what was about to happen, I immediately tensed up and prepared myself. Okay, yeah, we're about to find out who this person is that we need. Or that we don't know. It's either Kyoko that's going to show up, or it's going to be Mukuro that's just going to show up. So let's see what happens. But we stood there for 5 full minutes, waiting for something weird to happen. Then 5 minutes became 10.
Why?
What's going on here? Why hasn't Monokuma shown up yet?
Could it be?
Maybe he died again? What should we do? Should we keep waiting here, or... Or what?
What?
Jesus! Did I scare you?
Come on.
I demand an explanation. Why did you waste my time and make me wait like that? What? I made you wait? You got it all backwards. You're the ones making me wait. Huh?
In other words,
I'm waiting for everyone to arrive. We can't start till everyone's here, now can we? Yeah, so who's gonna walk in? Is it gonna be Kyoko, or is it gonna be Mukuro? You know what? Another thing about Mukuro and Kyoko sound really similar. What are you talking about? Everyone is here. We've all been waiting for you. Pooh, sorry, but you're wrong. But I've been waiting 10 minutes now, so it's okay if I punish the one making us all wait, right? If we all agree it's a violation, I'll arrange a punishment right now. If it's me you're waiting for, I'm here. When we heard that voice, we all spun around to look.
hey,
Oh, whew. It's Kyoko. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, she's not dead. She's not dead. Okay. Whew. I'm here, and no rule's been broken. Kyoko? Kyoko, you're still alive. No, that's a ghost. Stop talking. If you want to fight, do it at the class trial. You need to save some of the fun for later, right?
What?
But is it okay that there's no particular penalty for being late?
is that right?
I made it here just fine. What school regulation did I violate? Am I wrong? You're so selfish, so spoiled. You're right, there's no penalty officially, but I bet you'll be sorry later. No, I'll make sure you're sorry later. Anyway, hustle your butts onto the elevator. I'll be just one step ahead of you. When Monokuma was gone, we all rushed up to Kyoko. Kyoko! So you really didn't die?
Indeed.
Of course I didn't die. Thank God, I'm so glad you're okay. Perhaps, but that's not necessarily a good thing for us. Huh? He's right, now we gotta deal with a ghost. Told you stop talking.
Let's go.
Come on, let's just go. Whatever we need to discuss, we can do that during the trial. Without ever looking directly at Kyoko, Byakuya stepped into the elevator. Master, wait for me. Good call. Who knows what might happen to us if we wait too long.
But
If we take too long. I'll be happy when this trial is all over. One after another, everyone piled into the elevator. But I couldn't help myself. I had to talk to Kyoko before the trial started. Alright. Kyoko, you had us worried. Listen, before we get started, I have to ask you. Where have you been this whole time? You used that key of yours to go somewhere, didn't you?
Correct.
So, I want to investigate the second floor of the dorms. The second floor?
that's right.
There aren't any monitors or cameras there, so I was able to avoid Monokuma completely. Of course, I also missed his announcement because of that.
Whew.
I had no idea a body had been discovered. Then why did you find out?
So...
When did you find out? Just now. I finished my search and came back down. Just in time to hear the class trial announcement. It took some time to go over the crime scene first. I can't go to the trial completely uninformed, can I? So that's why you were late.
However,
I'm sorry I kept you all waiting. But if you were on the second floor of the dorms, then what's the key you found? What's the key that you found goes to?
Wrong.
Actually, to be precise, not quite.
In other words,
I used Monokuma's secret tool, which can open any lock in the school. Oh, so that's how she got to the second floor. Okay. I think that's where that gate was that we couldn't go to. What? Kyoko's account has been added. Okay.
Just a second.
Hey, what are you two doing? Hurry up before we get in trouble with Monokuma.
Makoto.
We can go over all the details after we get through this trial, okay, Makoto? Right now, I just want to focus on surviving our current situation.
It would seem...
Because this is probably the single most crucial moment so far for me. For her? That's a strange way to put it. Class trial is important for everyone, right? So why would she say it's a crucial moment for her?
Goodbye.
Well, if that's all. Seemingly unconcerned, Kyoko made her way to the elevator. I'm just overthinking what she said, right? Alright. Being the last one left, I stepped into the elevator. And the door slid shut. This time, the clunking was loud enough to hurt my ears. The dread began to consume me once again. You can imagine never getting used to the mental pressure that comes with preparing for an execution. In that dusky darkness, nobody said a word. We just stood there, silent and still. After an immeasurable period of time, the doors opened without warning. A dazzling light penetrated every depth of my eyes. But it wasn't the illuminating light of hope. It was the blinding light of despair.
I can't wait! I can't wait!
I've been waiting for this. I feel like it's been forever since we got together like this. The time for pointless jokes and jabs are past.
Thrills! Chills! Kills!
Let's get on with the show. And so, the curtain opened for the 5th time. A deadly judgment, a deadly deception, a deadly betrayal, a deadly riddle, a deadly defense, a deadly faith, a deadly class trial. Yes, please. Let's save. Okay, we did get one other skill, extraordinary focus. Increases the focus gauge by 2. Ooh. Perfect. And I believe that's all the ones we've gotten. We don't have any more we can get. Pretty sure everything else was from the characters that we never got to actually hang out with. So yeah, we got that. So let's look at everything we have so far. One last time before we do this. We got 18 things to look at. Okay. Due to the explosion, the victim's identity is unknown. They were, however, dead before the blast. The victim had been stabbed a single time with a knife, which went completely through the body. They had also been struck in the head with an object about as thick as a metal pipe. The body was discovered with other wounds, but these were at least several days old. The explosion has burned the upper half of the body beyond recognition. The upper half of the body remained on fire and had to be extinguished. Because of this, the upper half was soaking wet, while the bottom half remained dry. The body was wearing notably long fake nails. The body had a tattoo of a dog on the back of the right hand. There were bits of charred debris near the body. It should be noted that the bomb which had been removed from Monokuma in the gym had disappeared. It's hard to imagine these two events are unrelated. The sprinklers are programmed to come on every morning at 7:30, and this time is impossible to change. As such, it can be assumed that if the body had been in the garden before 7:30, it would have gotten wet. 7 a.m. Makoto wakes to the morning announcement. 7:30 a.m. Makoto and Aoi arrive in the dining hall. 7:30 to 9 a.m. Makoto meets the others in the gym, and together they head to the headmaster's room. 9 a.m. Toko is told to find a pickaxe in the garden, where she discovers the body. The knife found near the body was the same knife that was used to stab it before the explosion. It is also the same knife that Toko had given to Makoto for safekeeping, and the knife that masked assailant was holding when they attacked Makoto. The tarp was hidden among the other items in the tool shed. One side was wet and filthy with mud and grime. The other side was completely clean and dry. The number of chickens in the chicken coop had decreased from 5 to 4. Yasuhiro claims that there were, without a doubt, 5 chickens just before nighttime last night. And yet, Byakuya stated that there was no corpse in the garden just after nighttime last night, so it can be assumed that the murder must have taken place sometime after that. Byakuya also said that he, Yasuhiro, Toko, and Aoi were in the gym for the entire night, and none of them were alone at any point. The corpse had a mask covering its head and a white jacket covering the body. A knife had been thrust into into the abdomen, and there were bloodstains around the wound. The body had stopped bleeding, but the blood was still wet. It was noted, however, that there was no blood on the ground around the body. Mukuro Ikusaba, female, known as the Ultimate Soldier, she became been obsessed with the military form at a young age. She disappeared a while on vacation in Europe and reappeared in Japan 3 years later. Apparently, every member of the Fenrir gets a tattoo somewhere on their body to represent their membership in the group. Apparently, the killing game began with 16 participants, all students. It is assumed that Mukuro Ikusaba was the 16th student. Monokuma also revealed that the reason Kyoko wears gloves is to hide something she doesn't want anyone to see. The woodblock decoration was found in Kyoko's room. It looks like it's actually the key to one of the lockers in the dojo. A set of titanium arrows was found in the dojo locker. There appear to be 10 in total. Along with the arrows, there was also a wadded up ball of duct tape in the locker. The duct tape had traces of blood on it. It's assumed that this is related to the case, but nobody can imagine how. Kyoko's account. Kyoko used Monokuma's secret tool, which grants access to any room in the school. To sneak into the second floor of the dorms, this area seems to have no monitors or security cameras. Okay. Alright. Before we go, let's go ahead and save one more time. Okay. Let's get this started. Class trial, all rise.
Let's begin with a basic explanation of the class trial. So, your votes will determine the results. If you can figure out who done it, then only they will receive punishment. But if you pick the wrong one, then I'll punish everyone besides the blackened, and the one that deceived everyone else will graduate.
It's kind of hot in my room.
Okay, well, I'll leave the rest up to you.
All right, here we go.
Well then, let's discuss the specifics of the victim. First, we need to clarify who exactly the unidentified victim is.
It's Kyoko. There's no other explanation.
Hiro, Kyoko's literally in the room with
But
us.
Kyoko's standing right there.
Toko.
No,
The way she said
that's a
that.
ghost.
I don't think so.
But she has legs and stuff.
Well, that's just because she's like the latest evolution in ghost technology.
There's a limit to how much ridiculousness I can tolerate.
Okay. So I just have to prove that the corpse isn't Kyoko, right? Then let's compare Kyoko's traits to the traits of the dead body.
The tattoo, right
Her
off the bat.
traits?
One important trait Kyoko has that proves the body, it doesn't belong to her. Kyoko's piercing glare, no, Kyoko's face, Kyoko's gloves.
I got it! I'm talking about her gloves. They'll give us some insight into the mystery. I'm sure of it.
In that case, I think it would be helpful if someone explained why she actually wears those gloves.
And would you happen to know the answer?
In fact, Monokuma told me. Apparently you have scars on your hands you don't want anyone to see.
Oh, you know, now that I think about it, the corpse wasn't wearing any gloves, right?
Is it me or is the background different? I think the background's different.
They probably just got burnt up in the explosion. I'm not convinced. The ghost is just trying to fool us all.
Hiro does not know what he's talking about. There's no way the corpse was Kyoko. But if I can't prove why, we're going to be stuck here and the case won't move forward. So I don't have any choice but to. Okay. Okay.
That Kyoko there is just a ghost.
Impossible.
Okay, then prove it. Prove she's not a ghost.
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up in the explosion.
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion?
I don't think so.
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves. Because that corpse is absolutely Kyoko.
This entire discussion is idiotic.
I know that body's in Kyoko's and I know I can prove it.
That Kyoko there is just a ghost.
Tattoo.
Impossible.
Okay, then prove it.
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up in the explosion.
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion.
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves.
Are you serious?
Shoot!
You gotta be joking.
That Kyoko there is just a ghost.
Impossible.
Oh, the fake nails, right?
Okay, then prove it. Prove she's not a ghost.
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up in the explosion.
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion.
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves.
There we go. You
No,
won't wear gloves if you have
wrong.
nails on.
No. There's no way the corpse was wearing gloves. Whoever it was, they were wearing fake nails, remember?
I'm gonna try my damnedest to do this without messing up a lot. So I'm gonna try really, really hard to not get a game over in this trial.
I imagine trying to wear gloves over nails like that would have been a pretty big pain. Besides, Kyoko wears gloves to hide her hands, right? It'd be pretty weird for someone who's self-conscious about their hands to wear fake nails, don't you think?
Jeez, man, you don't know women, huh? They're complicated like that.
If anyone doesn't know women, it's you.
Well, Kyoko, any thoughts?
These gloves were custom made to the size of my hands to make sure they don't interfere with my daily life. If I wore fake nails, the gloves wouldn't fit properly.
Then that's that. The dead body doesn't belong to Kyoko.
Which should have been obvious since she's standing right here.
Yeah, but Hero's kind of stupid.
Okay, so then, who's the real victim? First, we need to figure that out.
That's the first thing I said. You're the one who's been dragging us around in circles.
Before anything, we have to identify the victim. Everything starts from there. Okay. Like I said, I'm trying my damnedest to not mess up. Sprinklers, exploded body analysis, tattoo on the right hand.
If Kyoko really is still alive, then who died?
There's gotta be some way to figure it out. I don't think so. The face was scorched beyond recognition.
Ah,
And there wasn't any description in the Monokuma file. Well, if we can't identify the body...
Then there's nothing else we can do, right?
and the one thing that can tell us was on the victim's own body.
If Kyoko really is still alive, then who died?
This one has to be the tattoo on the right
There's
hand.
gotta be some way to figure it out. I don't think so. The face was scorched beyond recognition. And there wasn't any description in the Monokuma file. Well, if we can't identify the body...
No, I think we can. Yeah, tattoo on the
No,
right hand.
it's wrong. There was one clue left behind that we can use to identify the body.
What? For real? If you're lying, you'll die a cruel and unusual death.
Cruel and unusual death. This I gotta see.
She's just being stupid. Ignore them, Makoto. Tell us what you're talking about.
The key to figuring out who it was is the tattoo on the back of her hand.
Oh, yeah. The design's pretty strange, huh? Is this a dog? Her master must have made her get it. To be like, you're my bitch.
Seriously? They really did something that humiliating?
Hero literally believes anything he hears.
No, that's not it. The identity of the victim is hidden within that tattoo.
Oh, really?
If you compare the tattoo to other information that we have, the victim's identity should become clear. That one's going to be this.
I got it! The Fenrir Mercenary Corps. That's the name of the military group Mukuro Ikusaba belonged to.
Okay, so...
To show that they're a member of the team, each soldier that joins the squad would get a tattoo representing Fenrir somewhere on their body.
Fenrir?
The image that represents Fenrir is a Hangman's Gambit, okay. What was it again? Can you get a Y? Oh, nope, just kidding. Shoot. There we go. Wolf. I don't know how I didn't realize that. There we go. I'm not.
Now I understand.
This isn't a good start. I only have 2.5 hearts.
The representation of Fenrir is a wolf.
Fenrir, the Wolf of Ragnarok. It's from Norse mythology. A huge, world-ending wolf beast. He's the child of the trickster god Loki, and a female giant.
Man, after all this time, we finally got a glimpse of the literary all-star.
A wolf tattoo. Then that means...
Exactly. The body we found had a tattoo of a wolf. Which means that person must have once belonged to Fenrir. So it must have been Mukuro.
What?
Hold on. Isn't she the one that was behind this whole thing?
You sound surprised, but you're absolutely right. Yes, indeed. The trial this time is to solve the murder of Mukuro Ikusaba.
What? Are you saying the mastermind is dead? And now we have to have a cool-ass trial?
No. It means we were wrong in thinking that Mukuro was the mastermind at all.
But I mean, being the ultimate despair seems like a pretty mastermindy title to me.
Maybe we shouldn't have been thinking of her as the ultimate despair in the first place.
Besides, it's on the profile, it said Ultimate Soldier, not the Ultimate Despair.
After all, looking at her profile, I didn't see anything that would fit such a description. All it said was that she was the ultimate soldier. If I remember correctly, that other information came from Kyoko. That's what you told Makoto, right?
So that means Kyoko got it wrong?
Then who was she? Who was Mukuro Ikusaba? She's been gone this whole time, and when she finally turns up, she gets killed.
Usually when there's a scene where an important character dies, it has a lot more detail.
So you're saying she wasn't an important character? Which would mean she was the same as us. Just another participant.
Then who's the real mastermind?
It must have been the Hope's Peak Academy headmaster after all.
No, the headmaster has nothing to do with it.
But how can we trust that? We already know your information about Mukuro was wrong.
My information was not wrong.
Okay. We're in the middle of a trial right now. Figuring out who killed Mukuro is first and foremost. Please limit all future prattle, chatter, and chit-chat as much as possible.
Fine. Uncovering the identity of the mastermind will have to wait. But remember this. No matter what happens, we will find out who you really are. I stake my family name on it.
I have officially decided to completely ignore all such attempts at provocation. Now then, just so nobody's confused, let me state this one more time for the record. The reason we're having a class trial is because a murder among the students has taken place. Hammer that point straight into your big ol' brains!
What you're saying is that both the victim and the culprit are part of the student body?
Then, one of us killed Mukuro?
The only person that would have been able to capable of doing that would be Kyoko. Only Kyoko and myself and Makoto, only we knew about Mukuro.
Wait, no.
At the time.
there's a chance that there's some mystery 17th person who's been hiding all along.
Nope. There are only 16 students in total that have been taking part in these events.
Seriously? Then one of us killed Mukuro?
Who did it? Who's the killer this time?
Get a hold of yourself. We've already narrowed down the list of possible suspects.
I think it either has to be myself or Kyoko.
Huh?
Yeah, because
I'm sure you realize who I'm talking about, right, Makoto? Who the evidence points to?
based on what we know, there can only be 2 suspects. Myself and Kyoko.
I got
That's it.
You've narrowed it down to Kyoko and me, right?
Why do you say that?
Allow me to explain. Just after nighttime last night, I went to the garden, so I can confirm that at that point, there was no dead body there. So, the murder must have taken place after I left the garden. However, Hiro, Toko, Hina, and I were in the gym the entire time.
The gym?
That's right. The 4 of us were there trying to dismantle Monokuma. The whole time, we were very careful not to go anywhere alone. We even went to the bathroom in pairs. All of which is to say, the 4 of us all have alibis. The only ones without alibis
Are me and Makoto. That's why you're able to narrow down the list of suspects.
exactly so.
So the only suspects now are me and Kyoko. Damn it, I can't let this stand. Somehow I have to clear my name.
I have something I'd like to say regarding the whole alibi thing.
Are you thinking of raising an objection?
Well, before that, I just want to try and get a better idea of what time the murder took place. Doing that might reveal some kind of clue.
Whatever you want. Somebody go ahead and help him out.
Me and Byakuya can both confirm that the body wasn't in the garden at... Well, it was after nighttime for sure. I'd say it must have been around 10 o'clock. So the murder must have happened after 10 p.m.
Then I guess we can say the time frame for the murder was between then and when we found the body? Oh, but what time did we find the body?
Like right at 9, like right around 9, because that was when Byakuya sent Toko to go get the pickaxe.
The one who saw the body first was Toko, right? And she went to go get the pickaxe.
What time was the body discovered? At 9 o'clock.
I got it! The body must have been discovered at 9 a.m., since that's when Toko went to get the pickaxe.
Now then, Toko, what time is it? Well, we only left the gym. It's just before 9 o'clock, so it's probably 9 on a dot now. Okay, go get the pickaxe and get back here by 9:01.
He's right. It had to be around then.
So we can be totally sure the murder happened sometime between 10 at night and 9 in the morning.
For me, I was already asleep before nighttime hit, so I don't have an alibi after 10 o'clock. But I'm sure I met up with everyone else before 9 this morning.
We ran into each other in the dining hall, right? That was around... Oh yeah!
7:30,
Right
yeah.
around 7:30. I remember checking right before I went in, so I'm totally sure about it.
Which means from 10 p.m. to 7:30 a.m., you don't have an alibi.
The murder happened between 10 p.m. and 9 a.m. and I don't have an alibi from 10 p.m. until 7:30 a.m. Okay, then looks like the game has begun. If I can't provide an alibi for that period, I just have to prove the murder didn't happen during the time I don't have an alibi. To do that, I have to make it clear when the body ended up in the garden. The sprinkler. Yeah, this one's gonna be the sprinkler, for sure.
We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
I'm not gonna do that just yet. I'm gonna wait.
That's more than enough
Pretty
time
sure
to
that's
commit
it.
murder, I should think. So Makoto, if you have any objections, now would be the time.
Okay, yeah, it's gonna be what Hina said. There's something that happens in the garden at the same time every morning. Thinking back, the course was almost totally dry. In which case, I should be able to figure out when the body must have appeared in the garden.
We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
Right here. No?
Shoot!
Ugh.
We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
That's more than enough time to commit murder, I should think. So Makoto, if you have any objections, now would be the time. We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi from the...
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
That's more than enough time to commit murder.
Oh, I think I need to do the flashback thing.
So Makoto,
If you have any objections, now would be the time.
we've established a time frame. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And Makoto doesn't have an alibi.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
That's more than enough time to commit murder, I should think. So Makoto,
So if you have any objections, now would be the time.
It's either that or
we've established a time frame for the murder.
Be what he's saying.
It took place somewhere between
10 o'clock at night.
No.
Shoot!
Ugh.
We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
That's more than enough time to commit murder.
So
Makoto, if you have any
objections, now would be the time.
we've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
That's more than enough time to commit murder, I should think.
So Makoto, if you have any objections, now would be the time.
We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And Makoto doesn't have an alibi.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
No. I'm confused. Okay.
Shoot!
Ah, come on.
We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
That's more than enough time to commit murder, I should think.
So Makoto, if you have any objections, now would be the time.
We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere
Somewhere between 10 o'clock at night.
There we go.
No, that's wrong!
I'm really trying to, like, do this without messing up.
Actually, the murder couldn't have happened anywhere near 10 o'clock. It had to have taken place way later.
And what makes you say that?
Because of the sprinklers in the garden. The sprinklers are set to go off right at 7:30 every morning, right?
Okay, if we want to recover that gauge, you have to be sure to do the next few things correctly.
So if the body had been in the garden
Like on the
before
first try.
7:30, then it should have been completely soaked.
Oh, hold on! I remember this part perfectly. The body was wet. Dripping wet, in fact.
Sorry, Toko, but you're wrong.
I'm wrong? How? Are you saying only the mouth down south was wet? How dare you spew such indecent words!
No, I'm saying that the body was wet, but not because of the sprinklers.
What do you mean? By denying the sprinkler, are you trying to deny my entire existence?
Man, you're totally wacko.
If you really think it wasn't the sprinkler, you'd better tell us why!
They proved that it wasn't the sprinklers that got the body wet. All I have to do is hit Toko with a certain evidence and that should do it. If you look at the body, that should make it clear. Okay. Oh, here we go.
I admit nothing. I hate you. No, no, no! I don't know anything! Hold on! Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. I hate you. No, no, no! I don't know anything! Hold on! Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. I hate you. No, no, no! How can you say it wasn't the sprinkler?
This should prove it.
Oh my gosh.
Just remember what the body was like after the explosion, and you'll see why it wasn't the sprinklers. The top half of the body was wet, yes, but the bottom half was completely dry. If the sprinklers got the body wet, shouldn't the whole body have been wet?
So they only got the top wet? The bottom was completely dry? What a brutal maniac!
I'm so sick of her.
Let's just move on. The reason only the top half was wet was because... while the body was still on fire, I doused it with water. But only the part on fire, the top half.
Oh, then I guess the sprinklers really didn't do it.
So if the sprinklers didn't get the body wet, then the murder must have taken place sometime after the sprinklers turned on at 7:30 in the morning.
Which means she must have been killed sometime between then and when the body was discovered at 9.
But Makoto's alibi was only missing from 10 o'clock last night to 7:30 this morning, right?
So there's no way Makoto could have done it. I guess you had an alibi after all. Good for you.
But what about Kyoko?
In which case, the only one left without an alibi is Kyoko.
Kyoko's the only one without an alibi, which would mean that Mukuro's killer is... No, I refuse to believe it. Kyoko murdered someone. That's...
I'd just like to say one thing. If you vote for me, and I die here, the mystery of this school will stay hidden forever. Which is why I can't let that happen.
Huh?
So are you saying you're not the culprit?
Of course I'm not. I have no reason to kill anyone. This is a trap the mastermind has laid for us.
A trap?
We're this far into the game and now you decide to blame me? Stop wasting time! Stop wasting energy! You really think your little trick is gonna work?
Shut up, you!
You got it, boss! Shutting up now!
Anyway, Kyoko, you actually did have a reason to kill her.
Huh? She did?
She thought Mukuro was the ultimate despair. In other words, the mastermind behind everything. So she killed her to try and put a stop to all this. Isn't that right, Kyoko? But you made one catastrophic mistake. Mukuro wasn't the mastermind at all. And as a result, we were forced into another trial, something I'm sure you weren't at all expecting.
So, that was her motive?
If she had a motive and no alibi, well then, I think it's pretty clear Kyoko's gotta be the culprit.
I'm not the only one without an alibi. Makoto's explanation is still insufficient.
Huh?
What do you mean?
The sprinklers didn't get the body wet, but that doesn't mean the murder happened when he said it did.
What are you...
Because you see, there is a way the body could have avoided getting wet.
Interesting. I'm listening.
All it would take is covering the body with a certain something to keep it from getting wet.
A certain something at the scene was used to cover the body, and could it have been the tarp, right?
I got it! You're talking about the tarp, aren't you?
You catch on quick. You're right. All you'd have to do is cover the body with the tarp, and that'd take care of the water. In fact, that's exactly what the killer did. The dirt pattern on the tarp can attest to that. Only one side of the tarp got dirty, because that's the side that got covered in water. The side that faced down over the body, meanwhile, kept perfectly clean. This proves that the killer used the tarp to keep the body from getting soaked.
But why would they go to all that effort just to keep the body from getting wet?
Most likely so they could cloud the issue of when the murder actually took place. In other words, to create an excuse exactly like the one Makoto just gave us.
Why would Kyoko say that? Why would she want me to look like the killer? No, I can't think about that right now. That tarp. If it was used the way Kyoko said, the tarp must have touched the body, right? But the body...
Wait. Something's not right.
And what might that be?
Can't worry about Kyoko's motivations. If I don't do something, everyone's gonna think I'm the killer. I have to review what Kyoko said. Okay. So that's a hint that I need to make this argument towards Kyoko. I think it's gonna be the fact that we see the dead body.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
I remember the blood on the body hadn't dried yet. Byakuya even warned us not to touch it to avoid getting any blood on us.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
There we go.
No, that's wrong. Actually, one side being clean is pretty strange if you think about it. Because the blood wasn't dry before the body got blown up, right? Byakuya said it himself. Not to touch it, or you might get some on you. If you put a tarp on a body in that state, it absolutely would have gotten blood on it.
Well, maybe the culprit washed it, so nobody would know they'd used it.
If they had, they would have washed both sides. Just washing the one side wouldn't hide anything.
Oh, yeah, true.
More than that, what if the very blood we saw on the body was meant as a kind of camouflage?
Huh? The blood was
What
camouflage?
if, after the killer used the tarp to avoid the sprinklers, they then covered the body in blood that didn't belong to the victim?
You mean someone else's blood? Where would they get something like that?
I know! They could have grabbed some of the blood packs from the nurse's office. That's what Hifumi did, right? When he pretended to be dead?
No, that's not what happened this time. The killer got the blood from right there in the garden.
They got blood from right there in the garden, right? Which must mean... the chicken.
I got it! Could it have been chicken blood?
What? Chicken blood?
When I checked the chicken coop before the murder, there were 5 chickens. But after the murder, there were only 4.
So, you're saying someone killed a chicken and then covered the body with its blood? Man, that's messed up.
Killing a living thing just to do something like that is awful. They should have at least eaten it.
I wonder if the killer had to get the blood from the scene so they wouldn't be spotted walking around. Anyway, there's no denying that a chicken went missing, which provides a basis for my theory.
Perhaps, but even so, there's one thing that still doesn't make sense. You said the culprit used the tarp to avoid the water and then covered the body in blood, right? But if that's the case, then the blood should have soaked into the ground around the body. But that's not what we saw. Only the victim's clothing had blood on it. The ground was completely clean.
I have to agree, that certainly is strange. Maybe they didn't apply the blood at the scene. Maybe they covered the coat in blood beforehand.
They covered it beforehand?
When you discovered the body, was it wearing the coat like you normally would?
I think so. Wait.
No, it was on backwards.
The head was through the neck hole, but the arms weren't in the sleeves.
Then that settles it.
Sorry, I'm having a tough time keeping up. What settles what?
Here's what happened. The murder took place before the sprinklers went off. But the body didn't get wet because the killer covered it with the tarp. Then, later, at the same time the killer was gathering up the tarp, they pulled the coat over the body, the coat they'd already covered in blood. This series of cover-ups was meant to disguise the actual time the murder occurred. They wanted us to think the murder happened sometime after the sprinklers had gone off, at 7:30.
If that's actually what took place, it certainly becomes possible that the murder happened earlier.
But to pull all that off, wouldn't they have had to go back to the garden after the sprinklers turned off?
That actually wouldn't have been all that difficult.
Huh?
They already had the coat ready, so they just had to grab the tarp and pull the coat over the body. They'd be done in no time.
Maybe, but still.
Hina, after you met up with Makoto in the dining hall, did you two stay together from that point on?
Oh no. I headed off to the gym, and Makoto didn't show up till later.
Then he had plenty of time to spare, wouldn't you say?
What is going on?
That's not...
I know for a fact that we didn't do it because, like, we controlled it, so we went straight there. So, wait, no, didn't... Wait. Or did... Did we control it, or was it automatically, or we automatically sent there?
Don't bother saying it's not possible.
I must admit, Kyoko's reasoning is sound. Makoto's alibi is inadequate.
And the suspicion falls back on me again. But why? Why is Kyoko trying to entrap me? Don't understand. Disguised dead body has been added to...
Well then, it looks like we're back to square one. Makoto's alibi is no good, so once again, our suspects are him and Kyoko.
For serious, man? Which one of them did it? Hey, why don't we let luck decide? Let's flip a coin. 50-50 odds.
Oh!
See? Pretty good idea, right?
No, not that. I just remembered something super serious.
Well, don't just stand there. Out with it.
You know that knife we found all black and burnt?
The one we found stuck in the body before it exploded, right? According to the Monokuma file, the knife went all the way through, from front to back. So, what about it?
I'm pretty sure I'd seen that knife somewhere before. That's what I thought when I first saw it. I just remembered.
Listen, more important, now that we have the knife, what are we gonna do with it? We can't let Toko keep it, that's for sure. We don't know what she might do. I don't want it anyway. So what to do? Why don't you hang on to it, Makoto? Huh? Me?
It's the knife we gave to Makoto?
You don't seem surprised. You must have noticed earlier.
Yeah,
Then why did you hide that fact?
it's not that I hid it. It's just...
Couldn't be sure of what actually happened last night. Thought maybe I really did kill her.
Suspicious! Very suspicious indeed. The knife we found stuck in the body came from Makoto. Now I'm totally convinced he did it. 12,000% convinced.
Considering everything up till now, I should be able to make it clear. I proved that I didn't murder anyone. I'm not the killer. Oof. We're gonna do that next time. Oh my gosh. In the next episode, we'll go ahead and hopefully get through the second half of this class trial and see what happens from there. So thank y'all so very much for watching this episode of Danganronpa, and I'll see y'all next time.